Evening, everyone. We're in the lab tonight. I got a custom order in to hook up a Apple Watch, and it is a Kentucky Wildcat fan. So I got some Horween natural going with this electric blue right here. It's gonna be a pretty good match, and we're throwing on some hardware to connect to the Apple Watches, and these things just snap right in, snap right off, which makes it pretty easy, and they're nice and sturdy. I get these from Buckle Guy. It's a supplier that I use, and they have the best ones that I've found just because they have the hardware is real sturdy, holds up real well, and it's not just some thin pins that somebody manufactured to, some little pieces of trash. But these are the real deal, and should put together a pretty nice watch. So if you could, I've been putting out some content. Hopefully you like it. I appreciate the praise, and also the haters. That's fine too. But if you could subscribe, help me grow this thing out, and hit the like button if you like what I'm putting out there. And hopefully I can put out some more stuff to keep you guys engaged and keep you around. So appreciate you checking out my video, and we're going to get on this thing. All right, so here we are. We have a 44mm Apple Watch adapters. There's two of them, obviously, top and bottom. And then I'm just going to pair it with a polished 24mm with buckle here, and that should be a pretty nice little fit here. So I got it's 20, just a little over 24, but I keep it 24mm anyway, just so it fits in the buckle. So these, again, they come in all the different sizes. Some of them are interchangeable. I think there's 38 and 40, 40 and 44. So they're Apple, they change them all the time, but these are pretty solid buckles. Like I said, I get them at Buckle Guy, and they do a really good job. They do have these two screws in the top here. I leave those alone. I do not unscrew them. And what I do is I actually just build it around as I'm going. So I just install this, and then I build it from there. I don't want to mess with these if those are already secured and they're in, and I believe they have some Loctite in there to keep them steady. I do have a little screwdriver here I take and just tighten them up before I actually send it out. But yeah, these are the real deal. I like these buckles around here, and so we're just gonna go ahead and get this thing going here. So I got a 24mm piece, and this is about a 6.5 ounce piece of Horween leather here. So it's nice and thick and sturdy, and it'll hold up to this with no problems. So I usually like to give a pretty good. I used to go in a little closer to the edge, but now I've been kind of pulling back off the edge a little bit when I'm making especially on these wider bands here. So if you go out to the 24mm, that's a pretty wide leather strap. So I like to give a little bit of depth in there just for that. And especially on this one, because I'm using this pretty cool blue right here, I want it to kind of stand out and have a little bit. It's simple enough, but it gives you a little bit of flavor in there, which I like. Right. So once I get those, just kind of measuring out my holes. Make sure I'm on even and it's all looking good before I just gonna kind of make these a little bit bigger. It helps the needle go through. That way I don't have to pull later on through the needle. And then I'll try to set a link up to, if this is your first time or you're very new to leather work, I have a couple videos that are kind of starting from the basics. A watch strap you can basically do with very few tools. So I have a strap cutter. You'd be fine with that one. You could use a ruler and a razor. Otherwise, it's a needle and obviously the thread. Get these things threaded. When I'm talking, I can't think. There we go. And so yeah, there's very few things you would need. I started out, I had I think it was a $58 kit from Amazon that started out my leather working. And now I have thousands of dollars of stuff sitting up here. So I've certainly worked my way up. And but yeah, I started with pretty much very little. And I didn't want to overbuy my projects, which I ended up doing. So I think that gives me another video I can do. And teach you how to not overbuy when you're first starting out, because you don't need as much as you think. People ask me all the time if it's expensive to get into, and I don't think it has to be. You can certainly make it that way, but it does not have to be. All right, so put my thread through here. What I'm going to do is create 2 loops. Both of them are going to secure this around, and then I tie it underneath to hide it, and then we secure it tight. So let's see. So I always like to be careful here too, because if you pull this too tight, it'll bend in right here and kind of give you this weird edge. So I try to pinch it here as I'm pulling. Pinch right in here as I'm pulling, just to make sure it's tight, but not to overdo it to where I'm just tearing at the leather. And especially here too, you can go a little bit thicker when you're thinning out the leather right here, because it has this nice chunky lug that you get to kind of the fixed lug in there that you can wrap it around. And so you don't have to be so concerned with the thickness there, because it's not actually attaching to the watch. This hardware is going to actually attach to the watch, so you just have to make sure it gets around those lugs in there, or that fixed bar. All right, and I always try, this is something when I first started I didn't do a very good job of, but I always try to put these 2 stitches on top of each other. I don't want them crisscrossing and then tighten them up, and it kind of creates an ugly knot in there. So I'm going to do my best to get them on top of each other. And I create the knot underneath. And later on, after I contact cement it, I will take my hammer here and just kind of hit down on those threads so it kind of flattens it out, flattens out the knot. It doesn't create any, kind of anything underneath there that might be unsightly. I like this blue though. I don't think I've ever done this blue on this natural color, so this will give me another listing in my Etsy shop. If you are interested in something like this, go check out my shop on Etsy. It's also Reedy River Goods, and this is where this order came through. It's actually word of mouth from a friend at a Christmas party, so that worked out. I figured I'd put together a video and give him a shout out. So I appreciate the word of mouth and the support. Ooh, I like that. Yeah, this blue's gonna look nice on here. Also, something real quick. On these Apple hardware for these watches, there's one that's miscolored in the middle here. So that means that's the inside. So you always want to put the 3 black edges on the outside, and that is the inside part. So just something to keep in mind. I think when I first started making them, I didn't even realize there was a difference. And luckily I was making it for my own watch, so it didn't matter, but I got it fixed. But yeah, just something to keep in mind there. So on the sizing here, again, the width is 24. You don't have to worry about, because of, all you need is the actual size of the hardware, and then it takes care of the rest for you. So as far as the length, I was told it was a regular size wrist. So I don't know if I have small wrist, or I believe I do, but I'm going to make it a little bit bigger than kind of the standard, and not too much, but I'm going to go a little bit heavier just in case. And I tell folks all the time, I was like, if it's ill-fitting and it's no good, just let me know. I'll get you another. I'll take it apart, get you another one. It's no problem. So this was for a gift, so I don't think she could be measuring her wrist while someone's sleeping. Might look a little suspect. I need to put more of these Apple hardware or Apple watches on my shop. I think I just stopped putting them on there. I don't know why. I quit doing these listings, and then someone requested one. I looked in my shop over there, and I had about 10 different pieces of hardware in different sizes, and I said, darn, there's an opportunity for some. There you go. That looks pretty nice right here. So I'm just going to cut this down, do the same thing on this other side. I'm going to have to leave one of the ends is going to be wide open so I can connect this buckle. But we'll just kind of go through that. I'm going to cut this down, and hopefully we'll have this thing shaped up just right. Here's another tool you could use for this project. I think these are just craft tool. These are end cutters. A lot of times I use these for belt buckles and things like that, but they work just as well, just to create kind of a nice clean finish for when I wrap these on the other side. Skiving tool would be the other. Always have scratching all here. Let's see, is that gonna be big enough? So let me make sure I got enough. Yeah. Alright, so I always start in the front. Go from front to back here. Then what I'll do is actually grab this second part, kind of get this out of the way. Get this one that's in the front, wrap it around, come through the back. I'm just gonna get that in there. So this is gonna make that wrap around to secure it, but then also end up on the inside here. So I just create a loop around the edge there. Let that one drop, and then do the opposite. So I'm gonna pull this one from the back to the front. So this needle will again create a loop and then come out the middle back here so I can hide that stitch towards the underneath part. There we go. Again, I wanna make a straight line right here with this thread. Make sure that thread's right in there. It's just gonna give you a cleaner look. I've done enough of them, and I'm unfortunately I can say I've sent out some that have been all crisscrossed, but I do learn from my mistakes and use it to get better. So now that's something I'm very cautious of whenever I'm making something, because the stitches matter on here. There have been a few when I just see them and it's like, nope, let's do that one over. All right, so let's see, we're gonna put this, fold this back. Usually I keep the side with the buckle, if it's kind of a standard, unless it's smaller or someone with a very large wrist, I usually keep this about the 80 millimeters. And then standard is kind of that 120 millimeter by 80 millimeter. So this will be 120. I went a little bit bigger just because I don't know his actual wrist size. So I just went 10 millimeter more just to give it some space, just in case. And then it won't create that big of a difference. And then this one, yeah, I'm gonna go right at that 80 mark. That's usually pretty standard. For some folks, they usually just give me a request like, hey, my wrist is this size, can you make something to this specific length? And that's totally fine. But they do cover a wide range usually. Let's see. That'll be perfect, right at 80. You want this to be kind of a seamless piece right in here. So this piece is real important that you thin down just right so it lays nice and flat right in there. All right, it's important too to get each one even. If you put this thing on a buckle and one side's thicker than the other, the buckle's gonna be shifted to the side, accommodating for that. So these still are pretty thick. I'm gonna touch those a bit. And so what I'm gonna do now is cut a little loop or a little keeper. Keep that strap down here. That's already straight. And being a 24 millimeter here, I make a little bit thicker keeper just because it's gonna hold down quite a hefty strap there. So All right, so at this part, I'm actually going to contact cement these down. I'll let them dry, and then I'll be back. Will show me putting them holes and finishing up those edges, and we'll be good to go. All right, so now I got these secured down. They're looking pretty good, and now I have to get these holes in here for the pins on the buckle. So I just kind of eyeball here. I want to make sure it's the same on both, and I go very, very lightly. I just kind of make an indentation. It's very, very light. And then you can just buff that out with your finger afterwards. So again, this is one of those parts where you could be almost complete and you can throw the whole project off if this goes south. So I'm just gonna cut a hole right in there. And that's my starting point. I always use my wing divider so I'm the same every time. I get to the end of that, go right to the center of the line, and just kind of make a bigger indentation that I can follow here. All right, now that that's done, I want to go ahead and attach. Actually, I'm going to do these edges first. So it's pretty raw right here. I use this gum trag, and what this does is just kind of smooths these out, gives it a nice rounded off finish. And especially this thicker leather like this real nice Horween leather will generally burnish pretty good. So you take your slicker and just go to town here. All right, so it's coming together pretty good. All I gotta do now is add this buckle. We will be good to go. Again, I get these at Buckle Guy as well. It's a supplier I've been using for quite some time. I have enjoyed them, customer service, and what they have to offer. So, all right, for this again, we're going to use the wing divider, and basically what I want to do is just find the center point so I can make a hole there. There we go. So between there and there, a little punch right between the two. I'll clean it up with my scabbing knife here. All right. There we go. We're just gonna pop this little spring into the low, to the holes there. But here we are. I hope you do enjoy this one. I love that blue one there. And you'll be seeing this one very soon on my Etsy shop. But hopefully you enjoy this. Glad you asked for this. This will be a good addition to my little shop here. So I hope y'all enjoyed it. Shoot me a comment or question if you have. And I appreciate your time tonight. We'll see you soon.